call recording on?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Peter, just star 9. Star 9, and then it'll ask you to press 1.
To start conference recording, press 1. Return to the recording has started.
Okay. Just give me the signal.
I just don't know if it's gonna play through YouTube then. I think it.
These are first world problems.
Yeah, I just don't know anyone
Do
to
we
play it now.
change it again or try it?
Yeah, I'll try that one.
There's nothing with the
I'm
key.
trying to reach out for support at the same time, so. If we're recording on that, are you okay with that? Okay. There might be technical difficulties for YouTube, I
Do what we
don't
can,
know.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead,
Keep going? Okay.
sorry.
All right. Meredith, I'm going to reach back to you for roll call,
Roll
please.
call, sure. Mayor Dillon is not here. Councilwoman Cusick?
Here.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Here?
Councilman Kilman?
Here.
Councilwoman Poppy?
Here.
Councilman Weber?
Here.
Councilman Woods is not here. Thank you.
And we stand for the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of all citizens to have advance notice of and to attend all meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting the public is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, notice of this meeting, the mayor and council was published in the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News on Friday, January 15th, 2022. At this time, and we have approval of minutes.
Thank you, Council President. I move that the minutes from the May 11th, 2022 meeting be approved.
Do we have a second?
This is Councilwoman Cusick, I second.
Thank you. Any comments on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
I have to abstain, please?
Councilman Kilman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy?
I need to abstain as well.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
All right. Communications. Do I have a motion to receive the communications?
Motion to receive the communications.
And I second it. Any comments on the communications that were received and filed? Not seeing any, may we have roll call, please?
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, we open up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the governing body, please give your name, spelling the last name or your last name, and address as a courtesy. Please speak in an audible tone and address your comments to the chair. There will be a 5-minute time limit per speaker unless reduced because of the volume of business on the agenda. Please note, public comment is your time. Out of respect and fairness to all, there will be no interruptions or questions answered during your time. No time shall be ceded to anyone else, and no time shall be saved for later use. Any responses may be given during the governing body's comments later in the meeting or as directed by the chair. The borough clerk is our official timekeeper. So at this time, we don't have anyone in the audience here. If there's anyone on the phone, if you have any comment, now is your time to speak. I ask a second time, is there anyone out there who would like to provide public comment? Not hearing anyone, I'm going to ask one more time, a third time. Does anyone have any public comment? Not hearing anyone, I will close public comment, and we will move into a public hearing for the application of the Bergen County Trust Fund, at which time I am going to turn over to our Borough Administrator, Mr. Bruce Bozay, for explanation.
Thank you.
Do you need this?
Thank you, Council President. This is the open space public hearing for the 2022 application to the Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund. This hearing has been advertised in accordance with the guidelines for the Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund application process. The borough, in reviewing options for projects for its 2022 open space grant, Recreation Director Glenn Popolo and I have dialogued throughout the year regarding equipment and infrastructure items that may need attention and how we could go about funding them. The basketball courts at Finch Park is one area that we prioritized for this application. The courts are used year-round, during the day and into the night by the community. In addition to traditional basketball usage, you can go by the park many a time and see it filled with kids playing stickball, wiffle ball, kickball, or other pickup activities inside the court area. During our review of last year's open space application, which we are currently moving forward for the repurposing of the adjacent street hockey rink for new pickleball courts, we had the basketball courts looked at by a contractor, and based on the condition, the courts are not a candidate for just resurface repairs, but will require removal of the asphalt there and a complete resurfacing. The project components of this application will consist of removal of approximately 15,000 square feet of asphalt, laser grading of the site, and installation of 3 inches of new asphalt. In addition, all the surface line painting will be completed, along with removal and replacement of the 4 basketball stanchions and the related accessory equipment. Our estimated total cost of the project is $260,000. This open space grant is a 50-50 match with the Borough of Ramsey and the Bergen County Trust Fund, so the application request is for a $130,000 grant. These grants will be reviewed, and typically we would be noticed later in 2022 or early in 2023, and then upon award would move forward with the project thereafter. And those are all my comments summarizing our application.
Okay. Thank you very much. In this particular case, we're going to open up public comment or public hearing. And so anyone in the public, if you have any comments regarding this particular trust fund and what we're trying to accomplish with this, please speak up now or give us your comment. Again, I ask for any public comment on this particular application. And one more time, any comment on this application? This is your time for public comment. Not hearing anyone commenting, we will close public comment. Thank you very much. And we will move into the final consideration of ordinances tonight. And I will read the first one. Ordinance 05-2022. An ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Code of the Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey, and more specifically, Section 4-13.10, entitled Towing and Storage Fee Schedule. Having been brought up for public hearing and all persons interested having been given any opportunity to be heard, pass final reading by title, and that said ordinance be adopted as an ordinance of the Borough of Ramsey. And be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be, and she hereby is, directed to cause a copy of the title of said ordinance to be published in an official newspaper of the Borough in the manner provided by law, together with a notice of the date of introduction and adoption of said ordinance. Do I have a second?
I will second that, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Weber. Just briefly, this borough sets towing and storage rates by ordinance. These rates have not been updated in a number of years, and the Ramsey Police Department, in review of other towns and the New Jersey State Police rates, have recommended changes to the rates, bringing them in line with surrounding communities and those of the New Jersey State Police. Because this is final consideration, we will open it up at this time for any public hearing or any public comment that you have on this particular ordinance. So this is my first call. Any comments? This is your time. Again, a second call for final consideration on this ordinance. If you have any comment on it, please, now is your time. You can speak up. And lastly, third call for any comments during this public hearing for the final consideration of ordinance 05-2022. All right, not hearing any. Do we have any council comments on this particular? None? Okay. Roll call, please. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, roll call vote, please.
Sure. Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes,
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
thank you very much. Moving on to the next ordinance for final consideration, that will be 06-2022. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Providing for the Vacation of a Portion of Swan Street in the Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey," having been brought up for public hearing and all persons interested having been given an opportunity to be heard, pass final reading by title, and that said ordinance be adopted as an ordinance of the Borough of Ramsey. And be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be, and she hereby is, directed to cause a copy of the title of said ordinance to be published in an official newspaper of the Borough in the manner provided by law, together with a notice of the date of introduction and adoption of said ordinance. Do we have a second for this?
Council President, Chairman, this is Councilwoman Cusick, and I would like to second this.
Thank you. Just my brief comment, the borough has a small piece of property that is not usable as a buildable lot or for any other public purpose. This ordinance will vacate the property to the only adjacent property owner at 37 Swan Street. Before I ask for public comment, is there any comments on this from the council? Okay, not seeing any. I open this up for public comment as a public hearing for ordinance 06-2022. It's my first call. Second call for comment during this public hearing for final consideration of ordinance 06-2022. And lastly, third call for ordinance 06-2022. Any public comment? Not hearing any. May we have a roll call, please? Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes,
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
thank you. Moving on, in Mayor Dillon's stead, she has appointed John Milligan to the Ramsey Rescue Squad. At this time, I'd like to turn over for consent resolutions to Councilman Mike Gutwetter.
Thank you, Council President Kilman. And wait for the flying saucer.
Just in case.
Be it resolved that resolutions 118, 2022 through and including 1/30/2022, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Ramsey, be are hereby passed and approved. We do not have any special permit, but we do have a block party request from John Macri of 53 Balfour Lane is requesting permission to hold the block party on Saturday, June 25th, from 12 noon to 6:30 p.m. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Council President Tillman, this is Councilwoman Cusick, and I would like to second the consent resolution as presented.
All right, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes?
Councilman Kilman?
Yes,
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
thank you. It's time for committee and liaison reports. Again, I turn to Councilman Michael Gutwetter.
Thank you, Council President Tillman. I have a report this evening from the Library Board. The library is addressing various areas of the physical location, such as generator, HVAC, roof lighting, and security upgrades. Work on the strategic plan is in process, and a report from the library will be available shortly. The summer reading program and various summer events and concerts are planned with some support from the Friends of the Ramsey Library. Consult the library's website for more information. As for the Rec Commission, the 3 softball leagues are going well. The Finch Park Summer Camp has about 250 registrants as of May 16th. The Ramsey Run is scheduled for September 24th, and the Home Run Derby is set for June 18th. That's the 50th anniversary of the Home Run Derby. For the Pool Commission, registrations are ahead of last year. Early bid registration has passed. The date has passed. Regular registration is still available. The pool opening is this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and the facility looks great. Many Friday night events are being planned. Again, consult the pool website for more information on these events. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Public safety, this is my report. First, I just want to congratulate Councilwoman Sarah Fisher-Poppy for her leadership on the Borough of Ramsey Journal that I received since our last meeting, and everyone who was involved with it. It's outstanding, and we've gotten a lot of positive comments on that, so thank you. I'd like to congratulate John Milligan on his appointment to the Ramsey Rescue Squad, and also moving to the VFW, report from former councilman and military veteran Joe Verdoni. Poppy donations are underway until June 30th at various retail establishments. And the VFW planning for the annual Memorial Day ceremony, beginning with a 9 a.m. memorial service for fallen soldiers at Union Cemetery and a memorial at Veterans Park on or about 11:45 a.m. are underway. From the Board of Health, just a couple of statistics that I thought I'd pass along. This new strain of COVID seems to be on the rise. I'm looking at one particular stat that they gave me from May 9th, and that's just a couple weeks back. We had reported now, I'm not talking about home, but actual reported cases are approximately 50, which are more than half the number that we had last year at this time. So we do have a thing going on, as we know. Of course, our mayor and councilwoman are out today. As reported in the state of New Jersey, as of May 2022, hospitalizations for COVID are at 727, and of those, 41 required ventilators, but it's also a less serious strain than ones previously. And last but not least, the influenza activity is very high statewide. Emergency state visits associated with influenza-like illnesses are higher than last week and higher than this same week last year. And outpatient provider visits associated with influenza-like illnesses are higher than last week and higher than this same week last year. So for those of you, please be careful. A lot of people are wearing masks again, and just consider that these nasty little bugs and viruses are still with us. And I believe that's all I have to report. Moving on, does anyone have anything from Councilwoman Jane? Not seeing any, and that was for building, planning, and zoning. Moving on to utilities, buildings, and grounds, Councilwoman Judy Cusick.
Thank you, Council President Gilman. My congratulations to John Milligan for his appointment to the Ramsey Rescue Squad. And thank you, Council President Gilman, for your comments regarding acts of violence, which can affect people in many different ways. And I want to express my sorrow for those impacted by violence. My prayers are with you. Have your opinions, debate your rights fairly, and respect one another for the greater good. My report tonight will provide an update regarding our planning board, our Shade Tree Commission, and the Board of Public Works. For the planning board, there was a meeting on the 17th of May 2022. During this meeting, there were 4 site plan waivers which were approved. There were 2 public hearings for the Housing Authority of Bergen County, Desamone Court, and Galbrellian Associates, which is interstate. The Housing Authority project received approval. The Gabrellian Associates will come back with some project modifications. Our next planning board meeting is the 7th of June, and Chick-fil-A will have a hearing continuation. For the Ramsey Shade Tree Commission, it last met on the 19th of May 2022. At this meeting, there was a continued discussion about a potential ordinance change, which would include both contractor and homeowner as responsible in the event of a violation. The Shade Tree Commission attorney will develop the proposal and submit it appropriately. The next commission meeting is the 16th of June, and there's an information section on our borough's website regarding the Shade Tree Commission. For the Ramsey Borough of Public Works, or our Board of Public Works, pardon me, it last met on the 23rd of May, and the next meeting is the 20th of June, 2022. There was a successful hydrant flushing in April, with the next event in September of this year. I've been talking about the New Jersey Public Law PL 2021, Chapter .183, that requires all public community water systems to replace lead service lines within the next 10 years. Crew Engineers has developed a secure online plumbing inspection form to be completed by property owners to help the borough continue to identify the type of material for existing water service lines to homes and businesses in Ramsey's water distribution. With this inspection survey form, the borough will ask individual property owners to collect information on their service line and submit it to the borough. If there are property owners uncomfortable with performing their own survey, they have the option of Ramsey Water Department to come out to the site and complete their inspection. Thank you, Council President Gilman. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cusick. Public, Governmental Relations, Councilwoman Sarah Fisher-Pop.
Okay, I would also like to congratulate John Milligan on his appointment to Ramsey Rescue. Thank you for your service. As Council President Kilman stated, the Ramsey Journal did come out. It was in mailboxes the week of May 16th, which was just as we had scheduled it. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And I would like to extend my thanks again to Kelly Sylvester for all of her assistance on this, as well as Comp Time Printing, who worked very hard on the layout as well. The Ramsey Farmers Market continues to run from 9 to 2 on Sundays. Go to ramseyfarmersmarket.org to sign up for their newsletter and read about what they have coming up. The Ramsey Municipal Alliance, their last meeting was on May 23rd. Their next event is Sunday, June 5th at the Ramsey Farmers Market. They will have Gizmo D Robot to talk about healthy habits, and we'll be hosting a drug take-back event, no sharps or liquids at this time. And something to add, just a little bit about sharps, because there've been a lot of questions on how to dispose of those. in the state of New Jersey, you can put your sharps in a rigid container, like a laundry container, and tape off the top and write "contains sharps" across that container and put it out in your regular trash. So we will be working with the Board of Health. I will be reaching out to see if they have any literature on that for the drug take back, so we can share that information. Additionally, Leeds Got Talent had their talent show on May 14th at Dater School. I was honored and privileged to again be a judge for this event. The kids did a fantastic job, and they all incorporated in the message of drug prevention education. It was an absolute pleasure to be there with those kids. Their next meeting for the Municipal Alliance will be June 27th. Reminder from the Ramsey Chamber of Commerce, go to ramseychamber.com to learn more about our brick and mortar businesses, as well as those who do not have a storefront, and to shop local whenever possible. And that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Poppy. Health, Education, and Social Services, Councilman Harry Weber.
Thank you, Council President. Very briefly tonight, I'd like to congratulate John Milligan and welcome him to the Ramsey Rescue Squad. Board of Ed will be having their Relay for Life on Friday, June 3rd, from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., and hoping for good weather so they can rebuild that event back out to the wonderful event it's always been before COVID. And my last comment is I would like to congratulate the Gutwetter family on the birth of their first grandchild.
Oh,
All right, that will conclude my remarks.
thank you very much.
He's so old already, 2 weeks.
I know Mayor Dillon had just gotten tested positive recently. Did she pass anything along? She did not. She did not, okay. We wish her well, as Councilwoman Woods. Hopefully they'll be back here as soon as possible. Going on to Borough Administrator, Mr. Bruce Vosette.
Thank you. My remarks tonight, I'll first speak about a few of the resolutions that were on the agenda tonight. Resolution number 122 is authorizing change order for BGD Contracting, who's doing the Borough Hall bathroom project, renovation project. Similar to the change order we had on the second floor in the work on the first floor bathrooms, again, the subflooring below the existing flooring, when the existing flooring was removed, the concrete subfloor that was underneath needed to be fully removed in order to install a new subfloor to achieve full ADA compliance. So this change order approves that work on the first floor. Resolutions 123 and 124 on the agenda authorize the submittal of the 2022 municipal grant application. Ramsey has identified the resurfacing of East and West Oak Street as an upcoming project for future years. Based on the review of the competitive grant scoring system and qualifications by our grant writer on this capital alternatives, we propose to submit these streets as our 2022 municipal aid grant project. Typically, the borough would be notified around the end of 2022 calendar year by the state on this grant award, and this would then be a 2023 project. I would also just recognize in Resolution 121, the council is authorizing the submission of the 2022 Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund grant application that we held the public hearing on earlier. Resolutions 125 and 126 approve the insert of special items of revenue into the 2022 municipal budget. These resolutions are approving the insertion of grants into the 2022 municipal budget for certain grants which were received subsequent to the adoption of the 2022 budget. Resolution 125 is for a recycling tonnage grant of $23,325.45. And Resolution 126 is for $37,928.23 received from the FEMA through the Protective Measures Grant Program. These are both grants the borough applied for and consequently received. Resolution 127 urges the restoration of energy tax receipts by the state. This resolution supports the efforts of the New Jersey League of Municipalities and a number of state legislature members who are looking to reinstate the full level of state aid to municipalities from the Consolidated Municipal Property Tax Relief Aid and Energy Tax seats property tax relief aid. In 2009, the state collectively reduced this aid to municipalities across New Jersey by $331 million based on budget constraints, and it has remained frozen at that reduced level since, and they are now looking to hopefully reinstate that back to prior levels. Resolution 128 is the endorsement of a 2022 Community Block Development Grant project for advanced housing. This endorses a community block development grant application from Advanced Housing for a grant they seek on a property located in Ramsey. As the host town of the project, our endorsement is required for them to receive consideration for this grant, as this award is independent of the borough's own application process and also is for a qualified project under the CDBG program with improvements being made in the borough. The resolution endorses this project and was adopted earlier tonight. Resolution 129, authorizing the agreement between the borough and local union 469 on a labor agreement for years 2022 through 2025. The borough's come to an agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement now with 4 of its 6 labor unions. This agreement is with the managers, supervisors in the borough, not including the non-union employees. Agreement is consistent in salary and other contract modifications with terms agreed to previously with the other 3 unions. And the borough and this union will now have an agreement through 2025, as indicated. Resolution 130 is authorizing an agreement with Pascack Data for cybersecurity initiatives in compliance with the Bergen County Joint Insurance Fund new tiered coverage standards. The Bergen County Joint Insurance Fund, which the borough is part of, along with 37 other municipalities across the county, has instituted for 2022 across all towns a new tiered system for cyber risk coverage. This new tier system has different cyber insurance coverage levels for each town based on its cyber tier rating. Municipalities will fall into Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 and have different coverage. Tier 3 is the highest ranking and provides the most extensive coverage based on the higher ranking of your cyber coverage, of your cyber protection. This resolution would authorize the implementation of new cyber testing equipment and software for compliance at the Tier 3 status level. We also have a couple ordinances that will be on the agenda tonight for introduction. I'll just speak briefly on them. Ordinance 7 is a bond ordinance for funding of a number of borough improvements in a total of $775,000. First one is North Central Field renovation. The borough has a project underway to add a parking lot to the recreation field on North Central Avenue, which currently has no off-street parking. This will be added adjacent to the field between the field and the roadway. The field will be shifted further away from the roadway to accommodate the parking. This project will require approvals from NJDEP, the County of Bergen, and Mawa Township before work can begin. We've started the engineering permit process on this project to date. Ramsey has previously been awarded an open space grant for $67,500, which will mitigate some of the cost when reimbursed by the Open Space Trust Fund upon completion of the project. Project funding total is estimated at $225,000. Finch Park pickleball courts. The borough has a project to convert the area at Finch Park, which currently has the street hockey rink, into a new use with construction of 4 new pickleball courts. This project also has an open space grant previously awarded of $72,500, which would again mitigate the taxpayer cost when reimbursed upon completion. The project funding for this is $232,000. Police and other emergency services vehicles. We're looking at purchase of new vehicles, including apparatus and equipment for the Ramsey Police Department, the Ramsey Fire Department, and Ramsey Rescue Squad. Vehicles include a pickup truck and the upfitting for the use of the Ramsey Police Patrol Services Unit and an SUV for the police command staff, Ramsey Fire Department, and Ramsey Rescue Squad purchases would also be 1 command vehicle for each department. Total project funding for this component is $318,000. Ordinance number 8, 2022 is a bond ordinance for the Board of Public Works Phase 1 of the Water Service Line Replacement Program in the amount of $900. Councilwoman Cusick mentioned earlier and has been discussed at previous mayor and council meetings as well as the Board of Public Works meetings in compliance with the recently enacted New Jersey law requiring water service line replacements by all water utilities for service lines containing galvanized or lead components over a 10-year period. The Ramsey BPW will be starting the replacement process in 2022. The first lines in this program will be on Wyckoff Avenue and Main Street in advance of the County of Bergen resurfacing those roads later this year. This ordinance is for the first phase, and there will be subsequent funding ordinances for future phases throughout the 10-year replacement timeframe. Ordinance number 9, also on the agenda for introduction, is amending the borough salary ordinance. The borough sets salaries based on collective bargained agreements with those employees covered under the applicable agreements and by resolution for those non-union employees. We do, however, maintain an ordinance for salary ranges for certain positions, which is updated typically annually. The last update to the salary range ordinance was in 2019. The ordinance updates salary ranges for some positions consistent with the salary increases in line with those changes to the union labor agreements similarly applied to the non-union employees. To reiterate, this does not set salary for the non-union employees, which will be done subsequent by resolution within the ordinance range established. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jose. Counselor, any comments?
No comments, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Bendian, Borough Clerk?
Yes, I just wanted to report that our next meeting, the June meetings are actually off our normal schedule. The next meeting is Monday, June 13th at 6 PM. And then the second meeting for June will be on Wednesday, June 29th at 7:30 PM. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move into the introduction of ordinances. These ordinances, Mr. Jose has just described in detail, and we will go through the official readings of each one of these ordinances. So for ordinance 07-2022, I turn to Councilman Mike Gottwetter.
Thank you, Council President Gilman. This is the introduction of ordinance 07-2022. Be resolved that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Making of Various Public Improvements and the Acquisition of New Automotive Vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, in, by, and for the Borough of Ramsey, in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $775,000, to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Pass the first reading by title, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage and adoption at a regular meeting of the mayor and council to be held on the 13th day of June, 2022, 6 p.m. prevailing time, or soon after, as the matter can be reached at the municipal building in said borough, and be it further resolved that the borough clerk be, and she hereby is instructed to publish in an official newspaper of the borough in the manner provided by law a copy of said ordinance, together with notice of introduction thereof, and notice when the same will be considered for final passage and adoption.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
We have a second, Council President, Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Councilman Weber. Any additional comment, Councilman Gottwetter?
Now, this ordinance was just described in detail by
All right,
Borough
thank you very much.
Administrator Bozo.
Ms. Bendian, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gottwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. Going to ordinance 08-2022, Councilwoman Judy Cusick.
Thank you, Council President Gilman. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the undertaking of Phase 1 of the water service line replacement project in, by, and for the water sewer utility of the Borough of Ramsey in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $900,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Pass the first reading by title, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage and adoption at a regular meeting of the mayor and council to be held on the 13th day of June 2022, 6 p.m. Prevailing time or as soon after as the matter can be reached at at the municipal building in said borough, and be it further resolved that the borough clerk be, and she is hereby instructed to publish in an official newspaper of the borough, in the manner provided by law, a copy of said ordinance, together with notice of introduction thereof, and notice when the same will be considered for final passage and adoption.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and I second that ordinance. Any further comment on that, Councilwoman?
No, our wonderful Mr. Vose said everything that needs to be said from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Bendian, a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
And lastly, introduction of ordinance 09-2022. Again, Councilman Mike Otwater.
Thank you again, Council President Kilman. This is the introduction of ordinance 09-2022. Be resolved an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 10 of the Code of the Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey, and more specifically, Section 10-23, compensation. Passed the first reading by title, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage and adoption at a regular meeting of the mayor and council to be held on the 13th day of June, 2022, 6 p.m. prevailing time, or soon after, as the matter can be reached at the municipal building in said borough. And be it further resolved that the borough clerk be, she hereby is instructed to publish in an official newspaper of the borough, in the manner provided by law, a copy of said ordinance, together with a notice of introduction thereof, and notice when the same will be considered for final passage and adoption.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Poppy. Any additional comment, Councilman?
No further comment, as Mr. Vose did a great job elaborating on that.
Thank you. Ms. Bendian, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick?
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter?
Yes.
Councilman Kilman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy?
Yes.
Councilman Weber?
Yes.
Do we have any unfinished business this evening? Any new business? Then we will move into a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 8:16.